Yeah, so listen to this, it sounds like hell. It's just like background noise. Yeah, it's like
all the souls dragging you down. Come with us, come with us. Yeah. Terrible.
Yeah, it's just like a constant murmur of hell. All right. Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the Ybor Muta podcast. As always, I am Taylor Durden. With me is my ever faithful co-host, Max.
Good to be back, Taylor. Long time no see.
Yeah, man. Good to see you. We've both been super busy. I've been at racetracks. Max has been working his butt off, you know, the typical stuff. But we're here back tonight. We want to talk about some notable figures from Ybor's history. Some names that you may see every day and not even realize it was somebody important. You know, a lot of these names they're on roads, they're on buildings, you know, and a lot of them are just people that just kind of time forgot a little bit for at least our newer generation.
Yeah.
You know, if you listen to our episode with me out at Fiesta Day, a lot of the people that came and sat down with me talked about some of these figures. And so we're going to get into a little bit about who these people were. So, Max, who do you have planned to talk about tonight?
Well, you know, there's so many people that you can talk about in Ybor City's history. So many people have contributed because the place has been around since 1885. And we talked about some of the founders. We talked about Mr. Ybor, Ignacio Haya, things like that. But I want to talk about some of the people in the middle ground. I mean, the first person that really comes to mind when it comes to history in Ybor City, preserving history and really exposing how special this place is a man named Tony Pizzo.
Oh yeah, that dude was beloved by everyone that sat with me at Fiesta Day.
Absolutely. When I was first starting to study a little bit about Ybor City and I really wanted to learn a lot about this place, everybody that I talked to said, just look up Tony Pizzo. Because Tony Pizzo was the historian, the official historian of Hillsborough County from 1984 it might be 1983, but either way, it was the early 80s all the way until his death in 1994.
Yeah, man. He'd been around for a long time. He wrote quite a few books, I believe, too.
He wrote a book, I know that it's very famous about City of Tampa or Tampa Town, or it's just called Tampa, but off the top of my head, I can't remember because I read it about 15 years ago. But I will say this, if anybody should get recognition for making Ybor City a national historic landmark district, one of only 3 in Florida, it's Tony Pizzo.
Well, you know, there's a life-size statue of him in Centennial Park.
It is life-size. I like that you mentioned that.
I'm sorry, life-size statue of him in Centennial Park that apparently it was put up in like 1995. It was like a year after he passed away.
Exactly.
The statue was moved from its original spot, and now it's over on 18th and 8th, I believe, right next to that pottery
right by the trolley.
place.
You know, he's waving by the trolley every time you go by, and if you ever get off by Mima's Tacos or anything, you're seeing Tony Pizzo there.
Absolutely.
And it's funny that you mentioned life size. It is actually a statue of him giving a lecture because he was at USF. He was a professor there for many, many years. But he was also on many different boards around Ybor City, specifically their history. Tampa, Florida, though, when it comes to Tampa's history, Tony Pizzo, he kind of put us on the map as maybe he exposed us as like the best kept secret in the South.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that at one point he was even on the, I believe on the Hillsborough County Historical Commission from like 1968 to 1980.
Oh yeah, no,
he'd been involved for a long time.
He was happy to do whatever he could to be involved. He hosted some talk shows about Tampa. He made a kind of a short documentary about Tampa, Florida.
Oh
but
yeah, that's right.
More importantly, it was his contribution of really trying to get the national scene down here.
Yeah, and you know, one of the biggest things that he contributed to this area specifically that we can still see to this day is those historical markers that are everywhere. It was under his stewardship, basically, that they put in like over 80 of them.
Oh, probably. I don't know the exact number, but I mean, the guy was all about, he was the one that was putting those things around going like, hey, do you know where you're standing right here?
Yeah.
Here's exactly what happened. I love the one that talks about the duel that happened over the left door. Where they were like dueling in Ybor City, and like literally if they couldn't decide, no, I want to read this book. No, I want to read that book. Well, I challenge you to a duel.
Absolutely. Well, you know what's cool is when he first started out, he wasn't always like, he didn't set out to be a historian.
Really?
The guy worked like his insurance.
Oh, yeah.
He even started his own liquor company in the 50s.
I do know about some of the liquor stuff that he did.
Yeah,
I don't know much about what he did with it, but yeah, he wasn't just like all of us, history was a hobby.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Just like me.
He was eventually the president of the Real de Mundo cigar company as well.
Oh, yeah.
Where they would do like mail order cigars and liquor and all that. But yeah, I mean, then he went on to serve as like vice president, general manager of all these companies.
Yeah.
A lot of wine stuff. He was the president of the first winery to be built in Tampa.
Really?
Yeah.
See, these are cool things I didn't know. That's just encouragement for all you guys that feel like you're in a dead-end job. One day you could have a statue in the middle of Ybor City.
Man, that's my goal.
Here is Taylor Durden.
Yep, the next alcalde of Ybor, hopefully.
You know what it'd be? It'd be a statue of you standing over that Nazi guy you beat up outside the castle, just you standing over him.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah. And he did a podcast.
But yeah, so Tony was definitely a beloved man. He was, he was in a lot of organizations.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a ton of them. He was everything from the Tampa General Hospital Foundation to the Rotary Club to Jose Marti Park Development Committee. You know, everything. Anything especially Ybor related, he was a part of.
And that brings me to a point. All you guys that are out there listening and you want to get more involved in Ybor City, join one of these clubs. The Rotary Club meets every Wednesday. You can join the chamber for not that much money, even if you're just a resident here.
Yeah.
But yeah, just look for clubs to join and hop on. The YCDC is always looking for volunteers. You know, that you can volunteer at the visitor center, whatever you want. That'll really get you close to the city.
Yeah, and just to be recognized and just know that you're doing something good for a city that we love so much. I mean, I've been involved in all sorts of like neighborhood associations over the years. I'm also a chamber member, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Now, who else do you want to talk about?
Well, I wanted to talk about. I just got his book. I haven't started reading it yet. I need to, but Dr. Ferdy Pacheco.
Oh, my hero, Ferdy Pacheco.
Everyone loves this dude.
Yeah.
I've been reading about him, and what an interesting story this guy has.
He has a book called Ybor Chronicles.
Yes.
Absolutely amazing. That's kind of what this is. Ybor Chronicles was like, let me tell you the crazy characters of Ybor
that's
City.
Why I can't wait to really dive into this book.
Oh, it's so good, man.
I've been
Ferdy's
picking up
great
Ybor
creator.
books like crazy, too.
Yeah. But Ferdy, he was one of the great creators of Ybor City's, or he was, one of the greatest names in Ybor City's like art scene. Amazing artist, amazing writer, but more importantly, a doctor, Dr. Ferdy Pacheco, a medical doctor. And later in his career, he went to Miami. He actually got his degree at University of Miami to become a doctor. But a lot of people don't know this. Part of the people that paid for his degree made a deal with him that when you get established, you have to help out some inner city children. That's when he started helping out at a boxing center in Miami. He met a young man named Cassius Clay. Cassius Clay went on to become Muhammad Ali, who went on to become one of the most famous men in the world. And throughout his entire career, Dr. Pacheco was his doctor, his mentor, and his friend.
Yeah.
Because he tried to get Ali out in, I think, like late 70s.
Yeah. When he started seeing the decline.
Right. He started telling him, champ, your hands are shaking a lot. Your eyes don't look the same as they used to. He's like, I think you should call it quits. And if he would have listened to Ferdy, maybe Muhammad Ali would be at a different ending.
Yeah. I mean, Doc quit.
Yeah, he walked away.
Recused himself.
He said, I can't watch this happen.
Yeah.
He really loved Muhammad Ali.
And they were still friends.
Right.
After
of course.
The fact,
yeah. He just said he didn't want to be involved.
Yeah, he didn't want to stand around watching the guy get cooked.
As Ali got famous, so did Pacheco.
Yeah.
Because Pacheco had this kind of attitude to him. He talked kind of like this.
Yeah.
And you could always catch him with a fedora on. And plus they'd interview him in between like rounds. They'd be like, so how's Ali doing? He's like, well, the champ's got a cut on his eye and he's going to be, he had kind of that personality. But later after that, he became like a TV personality. He won like Emmys and stuff.
Well, he was raised bilingual, of course.
Yeah.
And so he was beloved because he was doing like commentating.
Yeah, exactly.
For boxing and sports in Spanish.
Yep.
And man,
which I don't think you know this, but Latinos like boxing.
Well, and the community loved him because it wasn't a translated feed.
Yeah.
And so since he was a native speaker, he could talk with the nuance.
Right.
And
he sounded like the Cubans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And there wasn't like, oh man, it's lost in translation.
Right.
It was
he was
really
using
cool.
slang that you would. And by the way, way, I don't know if you ever met him. Did you ever meet him?
No, I did not.
I met him just twice. He died in 2017, but I met him a couple of times because I was doing tours back then still. And I overheard him talking to somebody. I don't remember who it was, but he was saying some kind of filthy stuff.
Yeah.
And somebody was like, Freddie, there's children here. And he goes, those kids are going to learn this shit one day. I mean, that's kind of who he was, you know?
I love him.
Yeah. But read that book, Ybor Chronicles, amazing. And some of you don't know, when you walk down 7th Avenue, there's like something on the sidewalk that looks kind of like a,
it looks like a mouth almost.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's supposed to be a tobacco leaf.
Right.
So
right.
And
I've always looked at him and thought it was a mouth.
Right.
With teeth.
You could kind of see that.
Yeah.
But if you look at the sidewalk as you're walking down 7th, around like King Corona, around like Centro, you'll see that it looks kind of like a mouth or an oval that's stretched out, and it's quotes from Freddie Pacheco about Ybor City. He wrote many love letters about Ybor City.
Oh, man. He loved this town.
You know who he really loved? Remember Conchita?
Yeah.
Oh. He wrote, I think I mentioned this before, that he wrote that he's like, I saw Conchita one day and suddenly I didn't care about baseball.
That's right.
Yeah. But he was an amazing character here, man. And honestly, he does the voiceover of the Ybor movie in the visitor center.
Yes.
So yeah, Pacheco's, he is my hero. And I'll give you a book about him. It's like, he has a lot of paintings that were amazing.
Really?
Jose Marti and things like that.
Yeah. Well, he went down to Ringling.
Yeah.
On a trip, and that's when he fell in love with art.
Yes, exactly.
And he was like self-taught artist.
And most of his art looks about the same, but it's all great detail. It's all Ybor City, like in the middle of a day.
Right.
There's a great one that they have at 1920, the Attic, that restaurant over there. It's a big giant Freddie Pacheco of the World Series, and it's just a bunch of people around a radio while they like write down the score and put it on the wall. Like, okay, the
cool.
Yankees are winning now. You know, that kind of thing.
That's cool.
It's a really, really cool scene. But I'll give you a book with some of his paintings and some of the dialect that he had, and
that's
it's
cool.
Like really awesome.
One thing I learned about him that I had no idea about was in the 50s, he was attending boxing matches here in the Cuban Club.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, they used to host boxing in the Cuban Club. They should bring that shit back.
Oh, man. I had no idea. I was like, wait a second. In the Cuban Club, they had boxing matches.
Oh, man. Yeah.
How cool is that?
I think that this Cuban Club, and I don't want to get too much into it, but we should be hosting a more Cuban-centric theme at least once a month.
Yeah,
just bring some Congo drums in here, light some cigars. Who gives
man.
Even if it makes like $20, it doesn't matter. I'll bartend for free if we do it.
Right. I'm way into it.
All right. Well, another guy that we should really talk about, who's got a statue in Centennial Park right by Tony Pizzo, is former Mayor Nick Nuccio, who a lot of you probably are driving on Nuccio Drive right now if you're listening, or maybe walking on it. But Mayor Nuccio was the first Latin mayor of Tampa, Florida. He was like a hero to the Latin community.
He really was, man. I read all about this.
Did you? Yeah,
man. And then that started leading me down rabbit holes because he was accused during like the Kefauver hearings and all that whole era. He was accused of having mafia ties.
He was here when JFK was assassinated. I believe he was the mayor.
So.
He was the mayor. I think that the Kefauver hearings probably did involve him. Now that I think about it, I mean, I never really tied those connections together.
Well, that whole time period was, everything like mafia was the buzzword.
Well, for those who don't know the Kefauver hearings, what they are is there was this congressman named Kefauver. He wanted to make his name and become president of the United States. So his idea was going to be, I'm going to shut down the mafia. And it's part of The Godfather too, actually, if you've ever seen the movie. But he calls people to testify in front of Congress. And he went to all the big cities. In Tampa, of course, as we've talked about several times here with Scott Deitch and others, Tampa might be one of the biggest hubs for mafia activity at the time. And JFK was here 4 days before he died. And there's all kinds of rumor that might have been expected to be taken out right here. We don't have to go down conspiracy theory holes, but
But Nuccio was absolutely beloved, though.
Oh yeah,
he made sure everyone knew it.
Yeah,
from what I was reading, at one point, mother came up to him. And her daughter was suffering horrible asthma attacks due to the dust kicked up by the crush-shelled roads that we had here. And within 24 hours, their road was repaved and asphalt. And so all of a sudden, he's beloved.
We can't even get a pothole fixed?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
This man put sidewalks everywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
Monuments, street lights, all that stuff.
He was the one that started the Ashley Street restoration, the Riverside there. Before Bob and all those guys were doing Riverwalk. Where One Tampa is going up right now, Ashley Street, which, by the way, we should talk about William Ashley, too, before the end of it. But we'll get back to him later. Nuccio was beloved. He'd walk down the street and he'd pick up random toys and put them in his pocket. And if he saw a little kid, he'd go, hey, come here, and just give him like a brand new horsey or something.
Yeah, man. And like I said, he put up all this stuff everywhere, but everything had his name stamped.
Yeah, of course. Smart man.
He was the first one to do that. And he, during his tenure as mayor, what he would do is say, like, you have a pothole on your street.
Yeah.
You have a street light out. You don't contact the city. You petition the mayor's office.
Really?
And then the mayor would then contact Tico to go out and go fix a street light. So now when you have a street light out,
if the mayor's calling for it, it's going to happen.
And it gets fixed. You're like, oh, my mayor fixed my street light.
My mayor fixed my street light.
And when it comes time to vote again, you're like, oh man, this guy fixed all the stuff for us.
Yeah.
And
quick response definitely makes the citizens go, he's on that shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it came out later down the road that, he was kind of doing that almost to win over his votes.
Right.
Because certain blocks that he knew wouldn't have the same amount of voters maybe they didn't petition enough.
True politician.
To get the street done. And that was one of the biggest contentions that Dick Greco had as a young man.
Yeah.
Because Nuccio loved Greco. He took him under his wing.
Really?
He was Greco's mentor.
Oh, wow.
And because Greco saw, like, oh my God, look at this guy. He's getting everything done for the people. The people fucking love him.
Yeah.
Nuccio was this big dude, so Nuccio, I love this because this is like the ultimate. If I could find a job that has this kind of schedule, I'd be all over it. So he was very atypical with his schedule.
Yeah.
He would get up in the morning and go to one of the many cafes,
right?
Get cafe con leche, have a cigar, and he would relax there for a while until, I don't know, close to lunchtime.
Yeah.
Then he'd go to another cafe, and he'd have more cigars, more coffee, and then he would ultimately end up making it to his office somewhere around 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But then he would work all night.
Oh.
He would work all night.
Wow.
But he did that so anyone...
Well, a nice relaxing morning.
Right. Yeah. And anyone could find him.
Right.
If you have an issue, you could come and you could talk. He welcomed everyone to come talk to him.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I did not know that about him. Night owl.
Crazy. And so Dick Greco in his 30s, he was young, was enamored by this guy. Because he's like, look at this mayor. Everyone loves him. He's getting all this stuff done, blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't until one day that Dick Greco was in his hardware store.
Yeah.
He was also working for city commission at the time. And this group of impoverished elderly came up, all disheveled, tattered clothes, came into his hardware store. And they're, Mr. Greco, please help us. We can't, they couldn't find Nuccio. They're like, please, Mr. Greco, help us. They lived in this trailer park along the Hillsborough River that the land was being developed by the city. And they were given a month to clear out.
Oh, wow.
And these people were all 75 years old and older.
What are they going to do?
Yeah, they had nowhere to go, no money to do it. They're all completely destitute. That was the only place they could afford to live.
Right.
So Dick Greco went straight to Nuccio's office and was like, you'll never believe who just came up. And now Greco's been mentored by Nuccio for years now and sees these people coming up and like begging for something. And next thing you know, within 24 hours, it's done.
Right.
And he goes up and he goes, all right, Nick, well, I got these old people, blah, blah, they're in the spot. And he says that Nuccio just kind of leaned back and lit another cigar and was like, well, here's the thing. They don't really vote for me. And he goes, he goes, I could probably postpone this for a year maybe.
Yeah.
But by that time, you're going to be running for mayor. So then it's going to be your problem. Right. And then now you're going to be the bad guy. I'm going out. How about I just kick them out now?
I'll be the bad guy.
And then by the time you're in, it's not even your problem anymore.
Right. You tried.
And Dick Greco was like, that is awful.
Of course it is.
And he's like, I don't want to be that politician. And so that's when Greco, Nuccio had retired. He had announced his retirement.
Yeah.
And then when Greco stepped up and said that he was going to run for mayor, it was going to be on a whole new platform, new blood. And Dick Greco is quoted as saying basically like, Tampa can no longer, this is in the 60s now.
Yeah.
Tampa can no longer be run like a 1930s mom and pop grocery store.
Yeah.
It's got to be run like an actual corporation. Now, this is the 60s, times are different.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. And everyone that was running against him were all these old timers that all still were stuck in those ways. Yep. And so he, when he announced his running and he went on that platform, Nuccio all of a sudden came out and goes, you know what? I am going to rerun for mayor.
Oh my. Yeah, I think I remember this.
Yep.
I do remember this, but if I remember correctly, Greco got the better of him.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. Now, so Nuccio, every time that he won, because he won quite a few times, almost every election he went in, it was a landslide. What was funny is that Nuccio didn't win a lot of the districts in this area.
Really?
He only won 2 districts every time. Ybor and West Tampa. But
Latin districts.
every single person in those districts voted, though.
Of course.
And they all voted for him.
That's the thing.
Yep. So he may have
was
only had
smart
2
about
districts, but he had every single voter.
Plus, being the Latin mayor,
Yeah.
the first one.
Yep. He was charismatic as shit.
Charismatic. He would walk around with the hat and the cigar.
Yeah, man.
He is famously very charming.
Yep.
Not to mention, like I said, helping out the kids, helping out the people. So a lot of them, like you said, in West Tampa and Ybor were like, that's the greatest mayor
Yes.
we've ever had.
Yeah, because 100%.
Meanwhile, Julian B. Lane was like, we
Right.
should help the African Americans.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you know,
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, we
Right.
should desegregate Franklin Street, which was huge. It was
Yeah.
long before the bus boycotts and everything, but that was Julian B. Lane. However, you know, I got to be honest with you. Every single person's different. There's an old saying, everybody's a different person. Don't judge them all the same way.
Yes.
You know, but mayors are different mayors. And Nuccio, I'm sure he had some superstar head to him, as well.
Yeah.
But, he did a lot. He also created Lowry Park Zoo. He did a lot for the area.
He did a ton.
Yeah.
And as
Lowry Park, not Lowry Park Zoo.
Right. As I was reading more about him, it looked like in the beginning he was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And not tarnished by
Yeah,
politics.
like most politicians.
Right. And then it wasn't until later, and that was something that Dick Greco talked about in the beginning, was like, no longer are you running as mayor to help the city.
You're doing it for yourself.
You're doing it for yourself.
Yeah, that's why he lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. You're supposed to do it for the love of the city.
I mean, hell, Dick Greco, he was 34 when he was put in as mayor.
Yeah, pretty young.
Tampa's youngest mayor. And he had a delegate of 7 dudes that were all his age, all his contemporaries. And they would have friendly wagers about how many signatures do you think I'm going to get in this neighborhood and blah, blah, blah. And they campaigned and they did very well. And they ran on a platform that the city needed at the time.
Exactly.
Something very progressive.
And now they're legends.
Yeah.
Hell, Garrett run. Like, screw it at this
Right.
point. Everybody's already thrown their hat in. Garrett, you can do it.
But yeah, Nuccio was an amazing dude. And, I of all the accusations of mafia stuff, I didn't really see a whole lot of that.
No, I don't think that's fair. I think he was just more like, I'm sure he took a couple of envelopes.
Well, and
but that's about it.
He favored a lot of contractors.
Yeah.
He would pick contractors based, I'm sure, on envelopes, because
of course.
it would end up being not the cheapest one at all, out of any of the
politics,
bids.
baby.
Yeah.
We got a whole new ballroom coming to the White House.
That's right.
Anybody else you want to talk about?
Yeah, so one road that I've driven on a lot over the years is Adamo.
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 Adamo is not how it's pronounced, everybody. For my new friends moving into Gasworks, Adamo is how it's actually pronounced. I'm sure if you say Adamo, not many people are going to correct you. But yeah, Adamo, God, his first name escapes me right now.
It was Frank.
Yeah, he was a doctor. He was a member of the Italian Club, one of the many Italians that really helped build the Italian Club to what it is today. He went off to World War II.
Yeah, he was a lieutenant colonel.
Right.
Like, he was no joke.
Oh, yeah, no. And like I said, medical degree and everything. He gets captured, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember who it was, the Germans, the Japanese. I don't remember who it was. But he does get captured, and during the time there, gangrene was like tearing through the people that were he was the prisoners of war. He came up with some way to cure it, and it's escaping my mind right now, but he cured gangrene.
Yeah, so he was in the Philippines fighting.
Thank you.
And then once the Japanese attacked Bataan, he was captured.
Gotcha.
And was in their prison camps. And they learned that he was a doctor. So they treated him.
Yeah, they probably gave him a little fatter piece of nicer foe.
Yeah. But at the time, gangrene was real bad in the jungles. And so the typical fix for it was just amputation.
Yeah, that was it.
And
that was what it was like, actually, like everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
They always got gangrene, cut it off.
Yeah.
That's it.
And so he had learned that gangrene dies in oxygen.
It was, I know there's a chemical that we still use today.
Yes.
Peroxide?
No,
yes, something like that.
Peroxide was part of it. Yeah. So what he would do is he had sulfa drugs.
Okay.
And what he would do is he would cut open their gangrenous limb, add these drugs, and flush with peroxide regularly.
Peroxide was part of it,
and it would save the limb.
Yeah.
And that was
kill the infection. It was like
groundbreaking.
He saved a lot of people from losing both their legs, one of their arms, heck, either ear, anything that you could think of. It was
absolutely,
like I said, it ran rampant, and he was the doctor that cured it.
Yeah, Life magazine once called him Bataan's medical hero.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, he was an amazing dude.
And from what I understand, by the time he came back, before he came back, they had already changed First Avenue, which is on the water, just like Manhattan. First Avenue starts right there in Ybor City. Before he got there, before he arrived back home, they had changed the name to Adamo Drive. Adamo Drive.
Man, I tell you, if I hear someone say Adamo, I'm going to know immediately you're not a local.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've been calling it Adamo Drive my whole life.
You might as well call it Ybor and Adamo.
Yeah.
I know you're not from here.
I mean, look, technically, La Septima and La Settima are both 7th Avenue, by the way. I don't know if you knew that.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's ever seen the sign on 7th Avenue that says La Settima and La Septima with a P.
Yep.
That's because the Spaniards and the Cubans kept arguing about how to say
how to
seventh.
spell seventh.
They were like, screw it, we're doing it with both. Everybody shut up and get out.
Well, you know what's funny about Adamo? Was that he was liberated in 1945. He was out of the camp.
End of the war.
Yep, and brought back home. Tampa, we used to have, they celebrated Frank Adamo Day.
Really?
It was April 27th. They had a parade and everything.
That's cool. Damn, he was a big deal, man.
Why don't we bring that back?
I'd be happy to celebrate Frank Adamo or Adamo, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah. So then after that, they named, the 7 mile section of State Road 60, blah, blah, blah.
If you've ever driven from Ybor to Channelside or vice versa, or downtown this way, you've probably driven on Adamo Drive.
Yeah.
If you've been to the IKEA.
Right. He ended up coming back and practicing as a surgeon here. In 1960, they honored with a trophy of the most popular doctor.
That's great.
At a local hospital.
Yeah, man. That's such a heartwarming story, because that seems like a guy who's just all around a hero.
You want to talk about a stud, dude.
Yeah, was it?
A rugged ass dude. I mean, Lieutenant Colonel, POW, saving lives through all of that.
Right.
And
still practicing when he got home.
Right.
After all of that, which I'm sure wasn't easy. Being in those prisoner war camps over there, I mean, they were burning cigarettes on your face. They didn't care.
Man. Like punji sticks and all,
Who else we want to talk about today?
Well, I mean, what do you have about Ashley?
William Ashley. This guy fascinates me. Look him up real quick.
Yeah.
William Ashley. So from what I recall, William Ashley came from money in a plantation, I want to say in like Virginia or something like that. And basically, he ran away from the plantation. Came from a lot of money. He ran away from the plantation with the cook.
Oh.
Which I don't think it's because she made a really good coq au vin. You know what I mean?
No, you don't think so? Maybe her roux was just that delicious.
Well, something was definitely delicious, I'm sure. So he runs away with the cook. He comes down to Tampa, Florida, and this is the 18-somethings. Geez, I don't remember the exact date, and I should know that. But either way, he's the one that's credited with laying out the foundation of the streets of downtown Tampa, where they are, what they're named after, things like that. And then he did end up getting married to an Anglo woman, but on his deathbed, he demanded that his cook be buried with him, not his wife.
Yeah.
So I mean, you think she had a hint?
Nancy.
Yeah. Yep. She had a hint that she was like, maybe I'm just kind of along for the money.
Yeah. Apparently that was his an African American servant of his.
Absolutely.
But she also had his surname.
Oh, that's lovely. Yep. Because obviously, I think it was like illegal back then. Probably.
I'm sure.
But yeah, he ran away with the cook. I want to say it was Virginia. I'm not 100% on that. But he came from money. And he went to great schools. And eventually coming down here, he was credited with the person that could lay out the street system the way that you know it today, actually.
That's incredible. I mean, there's so many names.
Right.
All these people that, like, you don't really realize, like, reading about Nuccio and all that.
Right.
Of course, Curtis Hickson.
With his ties during World War II and some mafia ties as well. I think we discussed that with Scott a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, with the Jimmy Velasco hit.
Yeah.
One of the other fascinating names, I'm sure you guys have seen it, Paulina Pedroso.
Yeah.
Casa Pedroso, which is that big condominium right next to Jose Marti Park, the Cuban-owned land of Ybor City. And all the way in the back, behind Jose Marti, there's a big plaque of the island of Cuba. And below that plaque is a portion of a speech from Jose. And in that speech, there's a line where he says, anything's possible if you have a good book and a good woman. Well, the woman he's talking about is actually Paulina Pedroso. She's plaqued above all that. She was an Afro-Cuban woman who was owning land in the South, which, first of all, that's a weird sentence to say.
Yeah, wow.
Back in the 1800s. She started up a boarding home, and eventually she started learning about Jose Marti coming this way after the speeches. She kind kind of fell in love with the man. Like she realized that he is the prophet of Cuba. And after an assassination attempt on Jose, she takes him in, she nurses him back to health, and she convinces the family, we're going to keep this man safe until he liberates Cuba. Like that's how sure she was.
Wow.
And I mean, she would cook his favorite meals for him and iron his clothes for him. Her husband, Ruperto Pedroso, would sit outside of Jose's room every single night with a shotgun across his lap
To protect him.
to protect him. Without these people, especially Paulina Pedroso, who knows if Cuba would have been liberated in the early 20th century?
Right. I mean, and then of course Jose Marti famously dies immediately with the battle.
He was a
Poor
lover,
guy.
not a fighter.
Yeah, poor guy.
Definitely a great writer and a very romantic man. In fact, there are some people that will tell you, even though Jose was much younger than Paulina, she was kind of in love with him.
Yeah.
And I do have a little evidence for that claim. You know, after the assassination attempt that happened to him, you know, he was poisoned.
Oh, I did not know that.
He gave a big speech at the Cuban Club. He walked home from the Cuban Club to his boarding home. He started sipping his wine and realized something's not right about it. Apparently, while he was on stage, 2 Spanish men had snuck into his room and poisoned his wine. He threw it all up, and he was sick for several days, and that's when Paulina decided to take him in, because she was like, you're not going to sleep by yourself in a boarding home that doesn't have a lock on the door. She knows. She's like, we will protect you the whole time. After all that hubbub, though, when they were deciding like who's everybody's roles, Ruperto, like I said, would sit outside of Jose's room with a shotgun across his lap. But before anybody took a bite of the food, she'd ask him to taste it first. She was like, you know, Jose almost got poisoned, so why don't you eat some of this just to make sure it's good?
Yes, dear.
When I read that, I was like, they didn't have a chicken they could have fed it to?
Right.
Just, see if the chicken dies.
A dog.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure there are dogs rampant
Why
everywhere
it had
at the
to be
time.
her husband, I'm not sure. But no, Paulina, she was a very fiery woman. I've heard so many stories about this woman. A lot of it folklore, stuff of her like screaming at people because they don't agree with Jose Marti. These are some of the names that we can't forget. And I love that we have like that park to dedicate to her.
Yeah, absolutely. And then of course, you know, Jose Marti, from what I've heard from you actually, that when, you know, he was so revered by the Cuban people.
Yeah, of course.
And that when he goes there to fight in battle, they want everyone in the world to know Jose Marti's here. So what do? They put him on the most beautiful white horse.
Gorgeous white horse. They reserved it just for him. For a long time, they said, nobody touch this horse. This is for our apostle of Cuban freedom. Somebody got the word back to the Spaniards, of course, said, hey, man, so they're saving this white horse. If you see a guy on a white horse, 99% sure that's Jose Marti.
That's the one to take out.
So he hops on the white horse. He goes, follow me, gentlemen, and points towards the Spaniard and starts attacking. Within, like, I think 2 minutes, he was shot in the head.
Yeah, of course. Bringing a sword to a gunfight.
Honestly, though, that was probably not his only first time in battle. It might have been his first ever fist fight. Like he was, like I said, he was a very big thinker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lovely man, brilliant man. I don't know if you ever read his poem Guantanamera.
Yes.
Absolutely gorgeous.
You know, it's funny because you and I have talked about this recently. I was not aware that was his poem.
Yep.
I've been humming and singing that song for years.
Around the world, people know it.
Yeah, not knowing that was his poem.
Yep.
It's beautiful. It's great.
That's probably the biggest name in Ybor City history for sure. And it's probably the main reason why we are one of 3 national historic landmark districts. No disrespect to Tony Pizzo, but Jose Marti, without him, this place is just another cool town that had a really interesting industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
A couple of social clubs, definitely some cool characters, but without that revolution that sparks right here in Ybor City, who knows what we are? We're Pensacola.
What do you know about the names that are on the buildings that are around here on 7th?
I know about most of them. You talking about like the people like Adolf Katz and let's see, we got Max Argentar, all these guys. These are all just merchants, merchants of Ybor City that did their part when they came here. They were shoemakers, tailors, and bakers. Most of them Jewish, actually, that left New Orleans and came this way after anti-Semitism from Romania. They headed over to New Orleans and then went here. Now these guys, though, you got to imagine they're coming from Eastern Europe. They're going to New Orleans. A lot of people speak French Creole there or English, and they're like, I guess we have to learn those languages, huh? And then the next generation's like, okay, we're moving to this place called Ybor City. Do they speak French there? I think we should learn some Spanish. So most of those guys that I just named were like multilingual. And they were the ones that were responsible for clothing everybody around the town. I mean, and they would, without them, first of all, I think they'd have a deal with like most of the cigar manufacturers. They'd be like, okay, you are getting hired at Fuente. So Fuente has a deal with Argentar. When you go there, you'll have a uniform waiting for them. Give them your employee number. It'll be right there for you. We'll pay for the first couple of them, and then after that, you got to get your own clothes. Just like when you get any kind of job, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's funny, like literally, they walk in, and this little Jewish guy would walk up and start speaking perfect Spanish to them, and then be like, "Sorry, I'm actually Italian." No problem. I know a little Italian too. You know, it was like these guys. It was a different time back there. You had to learn a lot about different cultures to be in Ybor City.
Yeah, man, it's wild. You know, it wasn't until I was an adult that I actually looked up and noticed names on all these buildings.
Yeah.
And I thought, I was like, who are all these
Nobody
people?
really thinks to look at that. Because,
Right.
of course, when you're at eye level.
Yeah.
And most people walking around Ybor City are looking at titties anyway.
Yeah, right.
But you look up and you realize, like, holy crap, this building is from 1912. And think about it. Do you know anybody alive from 1912?
No.
The building's still standing, though.
Right.
And there have been thousands of people that have touched those walls, walked in those doors. You might have puked right where somebody got married back in 1941. You got to be careful when you're walking in Ybor City. You're walking on history, all right?
Yeah, man. It wasn't until I was just outside downtown in the area what used to be the Scrub.
Yeah.
That there's a couple
The
buildings.
Scrub, of course, is the African-American area
Yes.
back in the day.
That is now where, I believe Encore is basically there.
Yeah, there's a great dedication to, and there's a African American museum going on over there now too. I
And
gotta
now the
check that
Jackson
out.
House is finally getting worked on.
I got to go check out that museum. We
Yeah.
should go one day.
I would love
There's
to.
also a walking tour that I'm not even affiliated with that I want to take with
yeah,
you.
and she and I talk all the time
really
on
yeah,
Instagram.
she knows her stuff.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
good. Yeah.
What it was walking.
What it
tours.
was walking tour,
Yeah.
which I have to shout out to them. I'm gonna have to check that one too.
My ankle's finally feeling good enough I can walk. So
Yeah.
I definitely want to go on her
We'll
tour.
go together. We'll go
yeah,
on
for
that.
sure. But it wasn't until I was in that area one day, and some of the original buildings still exist. There's like on Cass Street there.
Yeah.
And I noticed a name on the top of the building, and I Googled it and found, it was just some old, no one really of note, just someone that ran the building and built it all. But then it wasn't until I started noticing, like I saw that, and then I started seeing all the names on all the buildings in
Ybor.
Seventh, and really like paid attention to them, and looked them up and realized like, wow, man, even when I think I have a pretty good grasp on the history of this area.
Me too, buddy, and I do it for a living.
Right. And it's just more and
It's
more
always
and
something
more.
new, man.
Right.
Always something new. I mean, and there's always something to read. Read the Ybor Chronicles from Ferdy Pacheco. There's also a great online story called Fernando's Footsteps. It's like a fictional story about Ybor City that somebody wrote during COVID. Anna in the Tropics. Have you ever seen that play or read the book? That won the Pulitzer. And it's a great book, Anna in the Tropics. Check it out. I think the guy's name is Nino Cruz or something like that. It sounds like that, but if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But that is something.
I will look that up.
It's a fictional book about the lector reading about some woman and some guys rolling the cigars and like falling in love with the woman in the story.
Man,
It's a
cool.
great story, man.
I'm finishing up right now a book just called Ybor City Short Stories.
That's gotta be good.
It's a small hardbound book, and it's excellent.
Yeah.
It doesn't say if it's fiction or nonfiction, every story in there could very well have happened.
Probably.
Nothing is,
Everything's on.
dramatized or anything like that.
Right.
It's a quick read, and it's been excellent. So
There's good memoirs of Ybor City. There's one called Cuban Breadcrumbs. Check that one out. Really
I've seen
good
that one
memoir.
on my list. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a vast freaking. That's why we love to do this. That's why
Yeah.
this podcast. Remember when we started, you were like, "We're probably going to run out of stuff to talk to eventually." And I go, "Don't worry about it.
Right.
We'll be fine."
Yeah.
On that note, we're close to 40 minutes. What do you think, man?
But absolutely. And like you said, we do have no shortage of things to talk about,
Right.
and people. So we have some great guests coming up.
Yes.
We have talked to some amazing people.
Man, I can't believe some of the people we've
Yeah,
talked to.
it's amazing. If you've listened to our Bob Buckhorn episode, that was completely out of the blue. Like
Right.
we didn't reach out to him. His people reached out to us.
Yes.
It was super exciting. We had an absolute blast.
And Vince Pardo, that was really great too. Look, there's more to come.
Yeah. We're gonna have. I have a lot of people planned.
Yep.
I've got a lot of people down the pipe. I just got to get them on the schedule,
Yep.
get them on the books. I'm very excited about how many people have not only agreed but have said that they're absolutely honored that I'd even ask.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. isn't
So it's just been an absolute joy. I thank both of you people for listening to us.
it? You're welcome.
Thank you, Mom.
Yeah, man, it's good to see you again too. We haven't seen
You
each
as
other in
well.
like a month.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's get back to it. Ybor Muta, we're back, baby.
Absolutely. And make sure, as always, go by the website.
Yep.
YborMutaPodcast.com.
Send in your letters.
I will have merch available on the website soon.
Yeah.
I have had 2 styles of custom Guadabetas stitched up. This amazing company that they're all made in Mexico by hand.
Love that.
The guy is amazing with the company. He gives them.
The one I have is really nice.
It's a beautiful
I get compliments all the time.
A beautiful shirt. And the one I've been wearing, man, I've washed at least 2 to 3 dozen times now, and it's
sturdy.
It's perfect. It's just like when I first brought it out. So
somebody who wears them for a living, they are sturdy.
Yeah, man, they're nice. So, all right, guys, thank you very much for coming along with us and just talking about a couple of notable people in history, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Bye-bye.